Someone liked you so much, but recently you're noticing that their attitude has changed towards you. All of a sudden, they don't like you again. And it's not as if you did anything bad or drastic. Nothing eventful has happened between the last time when they liked you and now when they don't like you anymore. What went wrong? Or somebody used to hate you so much passionately, and all of a sudden they are becoming friendly. And you're like, what's happening? I can't remember doing them any favor. What has changed? This video will help you to understand how the mind of a human being works and why it can drift from love to hate and vice versa so drastically. Make sure you watch this video right till the end. It is going to be an eye-opener. Hello everyone. If this is the first time you're coming across this YouTube channel, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Victor Isibo, the face and the voice behind Victor Isibo Reviews. Here we talk about business reviews, finances, morals, savings and investments, spirituality, pretty much everything that makes you a better version of yourself on a daily basis in all ramifications. If self-edification and personal development is something that you fancy, then you may consider subscribing. Turn on the bell notification icon so that you don't miss my subsequent uploads. And to my returning subscribers and viewers, salute. It's always a pleasure having you back on this channel. So very quickly today, we're going to be talking about how quickly the human mind can drift from hate to love and how drastic that change can be. And we are going to be analyzing the phenomenon that is responsible for this drastic change. Okay? Now, first impressions, they say, lasts long. Okay? And they say you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. Now, I want to acquaint you with a certain rule called the 7-11 rule. And that rule states that within the first 7 seconds of somebody meeting you, they can form up to 11 impressions of you. Yes, within the very first 7 seconds of somebody meeting you, they form 11 impressions of you. You haven't said a word. You haven't done anything. They have never heard about you. Nobody has gossiped you to them. Just looking at you, they already have 11 impressions in their head. That's why you see some people who say, I just don't like that guy. You ask them why, they'll say, I don't know. And that is what is also responsible for love at first sight. I just like that guy. I just like that girl. She's so humble. Somebody that is arrogant, because you are just seeing them, because they dress like Cinderella, you think they are humble. Oh, this guy is so generous. Do you know him? You'll be wondering, where do you get all these impressions from? You have never met somebody. Nobody has told you about them. You're just saying things about them because you have first impressions about them. Now, here is the mistake that people make. Everybody has first impressions. But here is how you should handle first impressions. Number one, when you meet somebody, have your first impressions. Go ahead, feel free, have it. Number two, you should doubt it. Don't believe the first impressions you have of somebody. No, doubt it. Doubt it. Then number three, go back to those first impressions that you made, that you're already doubting. Wipe that board clean. Wipe the slate clean. Wipe it clean. Remove all those impressions you have made of the person. Now, get closer to the person. Get to know them and allow them to write on that slate by themselves, with their actions, with their inactions, and with their words. That way, it's not you making impressions baselessly. This is they themselves introducing themselves to you by their actions and inactions. That is after you've gotten to know them over a period of time. The mistake that people make with first impressions is this. Number one, they have those impressions. Number two, they believe those impressions. Number 3, which is the most dangerous mistake they make, they trigger the reticular activating system in their brain in accordance with those impressions that they have, either positively or negatively. For the benefit of those who don't know what the reticular activating system in the brain is, I made a video about it in the card above. You'll find the video somewhere in the card above. But for the benefit of this video, let me summarize what the reticular activating system is. Reticular activating system is that portion of your brain that gives you or shows you what you like to see. So now imagine you having an impression of somebody that is bad, and you trigger your reticular activating system. You will only be seeing the bad in that person. No matter how much good they do, you will not take cognizance of it. So also, if you activate the reticular activating system in your brain positively about somebody, when they are perpetrating evil, you will not see it. Because the reticular activating system is what I call the bias system of the brain. It either has a bias in favor of somebody or it has a bias against somebody. It's like a big filter. If you program it positively for somebody, it will only be seeing the positive things that that person does and never the negative things that they do. So this is the mistake that people make with false impressions. They believe it and they program their mind to stick to that belief. Now, let me paint a very typical real-life scenario for you so that you will understand the dangers and the damages that first impressions cause. You see a guy for the very first time, and the guy is in such a happy mood. He's spending money for his friends and family. He's so cheerful and he's so happy. And your first impressions of him is that, wow, this is a jolly good, generous fellow. You have made first impressions of him. What you don't know is that that guy is a very stingy person and he is not a friendly person at all. As a matter of fact, that is the first time he is doing that which he is doing in his entire lifetime. He has never done it before. And he has no plans of doing it again in this life. But that's the first time you are seeing him. And you think he's such a jolly good fellow. Imagine falling in love with such a person at first sight and you go into a relationship with him. And you now find out that the person is not who you thought they were. It will be too bad for you if you had already activated the reticular activating system in your brain to take them as a positive person. Now, when they are now showing you their negativities, you will be the one making excuses for them. Why is this guy so bitter? Maybe he's in a bad mood. Why is this guy so stingy? He couldn't even buy me a gift on my birthday. You will be the one to also answer yourself. Maybe he's broke. Maybe his business is not flourishing. You tend to start ignoring the telltale signs because you have already programmed that part of your brain to see only one particular thing. And when you see the other thing that you didn't program your brain to see, you either question it or you ignore it. Now, I'll give you another scenario. You meet a guy who is so unfriendly, who is so bitter. And your first impressions of him is that this guy is a very annoying and bitter person. I'm going to stay away from this person. But what you don't know is that that guy lost his mom that day. That guy lost his job that day. That guy lost a dear person to him that day. That guy got some bad news that day. But you go about with the impression that he's a bitter and unfriendly person. So when you're in company of other people and the guy walks past, you say, look at that bitter and annoying guy. Luckily for that guy, somebody within your circle happens to know him and they're like, that guy is a very friendly person. That guy's a very friendly person. They now tell you that I know him better than you do. He's a friendly person. Maybe he was in the wrong mood when you met him and you formed your first impressions of him. This is why companies have probation period. After you have passed the interview and they employ you, they still want to observe you at close quarters because they do not want to take the first impressions you gave them during the job interview for it. They do not want to believe you hook, line, and sinker because people can put up an act and that's not really who they are. And after you employ them, you find out that you made a mistake. That's why there's a probationary period after employment. So this goes to debunk this first impression syndrome. It goes to debunk the 7-11 rule. You don't see people for the first time and make impressions of them and stick to it and believe it. That is why in most cases, love at first sight doesn't work out well. And this explains the question we asked at the beginning of the video. Why would somebody like me so much and all of a sudden they don't like me again? Or why would somebody hate me so much and all of a sudden they are beginning to like me? Probably the first impression you gave them is not what they now had to see after getting closer to you. Somebody who likes extroverts met you on a day you were high and you were friendly and you were cheerful. They now thought that you were an extrovert. Meanwhile, you are an introvert who is just high on alcohol. They took your number. They call you every time, looking forward to be friends with you. The first date you people have together, you are at your introverted self again, and they are disappointed. And they stop calling you. And you are there wondering, did I do something wrong? Why does this guy not call me again? So this goes to debunk the first impression syndrome. Don't see somebody for the very first time and assume that, wow, this girl is a good girl, this guy is a good guy, or this girl is a bad girl, or this guy is a bad guy. You do not know the circumstances surrounding their attitude that very moment you saw them. You don't know if that is their way of life or if what you saw is merely a one-off. They are not like that. They are just putting up an act, or something happened that is making them act momentarily the way you saw them. So don't draw conclusions based on first impressions. Love at first sight has led to many heartbreaks. You see people appear like an angel of light and you give them your heart. Before you know, they will shatter it. You see somebody dressed in suit comes to you, tell you that they are a pastor, they look responsible, you do business with them, they defraud you. So first impressions, rule 7-11 has hereby been debunked by this video. I hope you learned something from this video. If you did, give it a like so that the YouTube algorithm will recommend it to more and more people. Share it on your social media handles. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Smash the red subscribe button, turn on the bell notification icon and pull it on all, because the next video is going to be a powerful one. Till I see you next time, I remain Victor Isibo. It's bye for now.